We're going to take a look at this last part of combining like terms. And all of these examples are going to involve decimals and fractions. All right. So let's take a look at number one. Number one, we have negative 2.5 or negative 2 5/10 times the group of 4x minus 3. All right. Well, we already know we need to distribute. So that's going to be negative 2 5/10 times 4x and negative 2 5/10 times negative 3. So I'm multiplying a decimal times a whole number. So let's go ahead and work that out. If we forgot, so that's going to be 2.5 times 4, and I multiply the regular way. So 5 times 4 is 20, drop the 0, carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, and I have a total of one number after the decimal. So one digit should be after the decimal. So that is 10, and we know that a negative times a positive is a negative. So when I do negative 2.5 times 4, that's going to give me negative 10, and I keep the x. Now I have to do negative 2.5 times negative 3. Well, let's do the easy part. A negative times a negative is a positive. Now I just need to work out 2.5 times 3. So 5 times 3 is 15, drop the 5, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. There's only one number after the decimal, and I didn't make my decimal big enough, but there's only one digit after the decimal, so one digit needs to be after the decimal on my final answer. So that's going to give me 7.5 or 7 5/10. And this is my final answer. I can leave it just like that. Okay? All right. Number two. We have negative 5.8c plus 4.2 minus 3.1 plus 1.4c. Okay? First thing we want to do, we don't have to distribute anything. We don't have any parentheses, but we do have like terms. Two of my like terms are negative 5 8/10 c and positive 1 4/4 c. These are different signs. Different signs subtract. So when I subtract off to the side, you can do the subtraction the regular way. 5.8 minus 1.4. You line your decimals up and subtract. 8 minus 4 is 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. Bring the decimal down. Now, the reason we subtracted, because one number was negative, the other one was positive. But look at the circled numbers. This is my biggest number and it's negative. So that 4.4 is going to be negative 4.4c. Now, let's take a look at our other like terms. We have a positive, I didn't circle that correctly, positive 4 2/10 and a negative 3 1/10. Once again, these are different signs, so I need to subtract. So I can come over here, 4.2, line your decimals up, 3.1, and subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1, 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring the decimal down. The larger number is positive, so that final answer is going to be positive 1.1. And my final answer for this whole problem is negative 4.4c plus 1.1. Let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 reads negative 1/2 times the group of 3y plus 10. Okay? Once again, we're distributing a negative 1/2 times 3y and a negative 1/2 times positive 10. So in reality, what we're doing, and I'll write this one out. We're doing negative 1/2. Let's write it as a regular fraction bar. Negative 1/2 times 3y plus negative 1/2 times positive 10. Now, we're multiplying a fraction times a whole number or a term. We can write those terms as fraction by putting it over 1. And then we just follow our rules for multiplying fractions. Top times the top, bottom times the bottom. So that's going to give me negative 3y divided by 2 plus negative 10 divided by 2. Now, we cannot simplify negative 3y divided by 2, but we can simplify the negative 10 divided by 2, which is just negative 5. So our final answer can be written as negative 3/2 y minus 5. Or you may see somebody write it as negative 3y divided by 2 minus 5. Either way, both of those are correct answers. Number 4 reads negative 2/3 x plus 1/5 minus 1 plus 5/6 x. Okay, so one more time. Negative 2/3 x plus 1/5 minus 1 plus 5/6 x. Well, first and foremost, we look for parentheses. We don't have any, so I know I don't have to distribute. But I do have like terms. I have a negative 2/3 x and I have a positive 5/6 x. So what I need to do off to the side here, and this is, we'll call this our little side work. Okay. First of all, we need to look at their signs. One of the fractions is negative, one of the fractions is positive. So because they're different signs, I know I have to subtract. So I really could write this as 5/6 minus, and let me use a different color, I don't want to confuse this. 5/6 minus 2/3. Well, if you know anything about adding and subtracting fractions, the denominator should be the same. Now, the common denominator here is going to be 6. So the 5/6 is fine. 5/6 is already good. But I can turn this denominator of a 3 into 6 by multiplying by 2. So that means I would have to do the same thing to the numerator. And when I do that, that new fraction becomes 4/6. Now I can go ahead and subtract. That gives me 1/6. So, getting back to our original problem, when we combine negative 2/3 x and positive 5/6 x, we're going to get a positive 5/6. Well, excuse me, not a positive 5/6, but a positive 1/6. So that's positive 1/6 x. All right. Now I have to combine my other like terms, my constants. I have a positive 1/5 and I have a negative 1. Again, we need to do a little side work. Their signs are different, so we're going to subtract. The bigger number is the negative 1, so I know the sign is going to be negative. But let's go ahead and subtract to figure out what the fraction will be. So I'm really doing 1. Oops, let me get a different color. I'm doing 1 minus 1/5. Once again, they need to have the same denominator, and I'm gonna write the whole number 1 as a fraction over 1, but both of my denominators need to be the same. In this case, in this situation, I could change my denominator of a 1 to 5 by multiplying it by 5, and now that would give us the same denominator. So when I rewrite this, we're gonna have 5 over 5 minus 1 over 5, and when we subtract, that leaves us with 4/5. So we already put our minus sign up here, that negative, because we knew when we combined them we had to subtract, and we also knew that the 1 was larger. Okay, so when we subtract, we had 4/5, and our final answer here would be 1/6 x minus 4/5.